Dear learners, welcome. The topic of the module is aggression. We all know that aggression is one of the most primitive adaptive behaviors that has been used not only by human beings but also by other species. In the primitive societies, survival was dependent upon the ability to overpower the physical might of others by being hostile and aggressive towards them. Contrary to pro-social behavior and interpersonal attraction, aggression, anger, violence and bullying behaviors form an extreme form of social behavior, and they represent a completely opposite axis of social behaviors. Therefore, social psychologists have attempted to explore various aspects of aggression, such as the process of expression of aggressive behaviors, factors that affect aggression, strategies and techniques to reduce aggression, etc. This module has the following objectives. First, to define aggression, to know about the signs and types of aggressions, then to learn the various theoretical approaches to aggression, to understand the causes of aggression, and then to explore various strategies and techniques to reduce aggression. Now, we are going to see some definitions of aggressions. Anderson and Bushman in the year 2002 have defined human aggression as any behavior directed toward another individual that is carried out with the proximate intent to cause harm. In addition, the perpetrator must believe that the behavior will harm the target and the target is motivated to avoid the behavior. In 1973, Bandura has defined aggression as a harmful behavior which violates social conventions and which may include deliberate intent to harm or injure another person or object. In the year 1961, Bush defined aggression as a response by an individual that delivers something unpleasant to another person. From the above definition, it is clear that aggression is defined here as any action that is intended to hurt others. Aggression refers to a range of behaviors that can result in both physical and psychological harm to oneself, others or objects in the environment. All of us may feel aggressive on occasion. When aggression becomes pervasive or extreme, it may be a sign of an underlying mental health condition, a substance use disorder or other medical issues. In general, aggression centers mainly on hurting another person either physically or mentally. Aggression can serve a number of different purposes, including expressing anger or hostility, asserting dominance, intimidating or threatening, achieving a goal, expressing possession, responding to fear, reacting to pain, competing with others. Now, we are going to see signs of aggressions. Aggressive behavior is intended to harm someone who does not want to be harmed. It must involve different actions. Aggressive behavior can be physical, verbal, relational or passive aggression. Physical signs of aggressions are beating, hitting, kicking or stabbing another person. Damaging property is also a form of physical aggression. Verbal aggression may include mocking, name calling and yelling. Relational aggression, which is intended to harm another person's relationship. This can include spreading rumors and telling lies about someone else. Passive aggressions means ignoring someone during a social event or offering backhanded compliments. Passive aggressive behavior is usually intended to come to someone rather than causing harm directly. Aggression in its physical form as well as psychological form can also be very damaging. Intimidating or verbal berating another person, for instance, are examples of verbal, mental and emotional aggression. In the age of ritually linked world, another form of aggression has emerged significantly in the recent past, where a person can harm others by uploading and spreading some embarrassing and defaming documents, photographs, comments, allegations, etc. on social networking platforms. Cyberbullying is another form of non-physical aggression that can cause serious harm to others. Here comes types of aggression. Psychologists divide aggressions into two main types. Both are damaging to those who experience them, whether as the target or the aggressor. They are impulsive aggression and instrumental aggression. Impulsive aggression is also known as affective or reactive aggression. Impulsive aggression is characterized by strong emotions. Impulsive aggression, especially when it is caused by anger, triggers the acute threat response system in the brain involving the amygdala, hypothalamus and preaqueductal gray. This form of aggression is not planned and often take place in the heat of the moment. If another car cuts off your car in the traffic and you begin yelling and berating the other driver, you are experiencing impulsive aggression. This is a best example for impulsive aggression. Instrumental aggression is also known as predatory aggression. Instrumental aggression is marked by behaviors that are intended to achieve a larger goal. Instrumental aggression is often carefully planned and usually exists as a means to an end. Hurting another person in a robbery is an example of this type of aggression. The aggressor's goal is to obtain money, and harming another individual is the means to achieve that aim. Now we are going to see theoretical perspective on aggression. There are questions: why do human beings aggress against others? What makes them turn with fierce brutality on their fellow human beings? Explanation of aggressions are represented by an array of theoretical perspectives originating from researchers from various dimensions in the field of social psychology. They are as follows: biological approaches, drive approaches, social learning approaches, frustration aggression hypothesis, excitation transfer theory, general aggression model. Let us discuss one by one in detail. First one is biological approaches. The oldest and probably the best known explanation for human aggression is the view that human beings are somehow programmed for violence by their basic nature. Such theories suggest that human violence stems from built-in, that is inherited tendencies to aggress against others. The most famous supporter of this theory was Sigmund Freud, who held that aggression stems mainly from a powerful death wish thanatos possessed by all persons. According to Freud, this instinct is initially aimed at self-destruction, but is soon redirected outward toward others. Similar views were proposed by Konrad Lorenz, a Nobel Prize winning scientist, who suggested that aggression springs mainly from an inherited fighting instinct and is passed on to next generation. Although most social psychologists continue to reject the view that human aggression stems largely from innate factors, many of the social scientists now accept the possibility that genetic factors may play some role in human aggression. Findings suggest that biological or genetic factors may play some role in human aggression. The next theoretical explanation is drive approaches. While rejecting biological explanation to the aggressive behaviors, many social psychologists proposed a psychological explanation which assumed that aggression is primarily originated from a strong drive to harm others. This theorist argued that number of situational factors such as frustration, provocation by others, presence of priming cue, etc. may instigate this drive in the person, which is expressed in the form of aggressive behaviors at the overt level. Thus, drive theorists disregard the proposition that aggression is a result of innate instinct. Rather, they believe that aggressive behaviors are largely driven by external or situational factors. The next approach is social learning approaches. Contrary to the innate instinct and drive perspectives, social learning approach proposes that aggressive behaviors are learned in the same way as we learn other social behaviors. Aggressive behaviors are learned either by direct experience or by vicarious conditioning, observing aggressive social models. Learning of aggression by direct experience occur when a person's aggressive behavior is rewarded and reinforced in a given situation. On the other hand, aggressive behaviors can be learned by merely observing models attaining their goals by aggressive behaviors. Apart from such live modeling, we can also learn aggressive behaviors by watching aggressive, violent movies and television programs and by playing aggressive video games also. Social learning approach further suggests that even the aggressive behaviors are once learned, they are latently stored in the behavior reservoir of the individual. Expression of this behavior in any given situation is dependent on number of factors related to person's experience in similar situations in the past, such as reward or punishments received for aggressive behavior in similar situation in the past. Social learning also helps us in understanding the appropriate and socially approved ways and targets of aggressive behavior in a situation. The next theoretical explanation is frustration aggression hypothesis. In one of very influential explanation of aggression, frustration aggression hypothesis assumed frustration as the most important cause of aggression. In its strongest and primary form, the hypothesis proposed that the occurrence of aggressive behavior always presupposes the existence of frustration, and contrariwise, that the existence of frustration always leads to some form of aggression. Although frustration aggression hypothesis appears extremely appealing, large number of social psychologists expressed their disagreement with its both basic propositions that frustration always leads to aggression and aggression is always a consequence of a frustration. The next theoretical explanation is excitation transfer theory. Excitation transfer theory suggested by Gilman in 1994 suggests that emotional arousal persists over time and elevated excitement in one condition can transfer to subsequent condition, leading to enhanced likelihood of aggressive reactions in response to provocation, frustration or other factors present in the subsequent condition. The excitation transfer theory emphasizes the idea that residual excitement from one stimulus can amplify the excitatory response created by another stimulus even if those two stimulus are cognitively interpreted as different stimulus. For example, on the way to your office in the morning, you find a very heavy traffic and narrowly escape a minor accident. Again, after reaching to the office, you see that the lift is not functioning and you have to go up to the 9th floor by the stairs to reach to your cabin. To further worsen the situation, you see that your office attendant has littered the floor of your cabin by tea. And finally, your aggression gets erupted and you burst out on the office attendant. Excitation transfer theory suggests that since arousal is carried forward to subsequent situations and therefore the aggressive behavior shown to the office attendant was certainly partly caused by the arousal that persisted from your earlier annoying experience of heavy traffic and lift not being in order. This theory also argues that the dissipating effect of arousal is stronger in the situation when we are either not aware of such residual arousal or attribute the residual arousal to the present situation in case we are aware of it. The next theoretical explanation is general aggression model. General aggression model presents a three-stage comprehensive and integrative framework for understanding human aggression. Stage 1 is input variables, stage 2 is roots, stage 3 is outcomes. At the first stage, the general aggressive model assumes two types of input variables responsible for instigating expressions of overt aggressions. The two types of input variables are factors relating to current situation, that is situational factors, factors relating to person involved, personal factors. Factors coming under situational variables include frustration, provocation, exposure to in vivo or in vitro aggressive models, environmental elements causing discomfort to the person, etc. Variables pertaining to individual differences are related with the person's disposition for aggressive behaviors, individual's attitudes, beliefs, intentions and temperament and skills for performing aggressive acts, etc. General aggressive model further assumes that personal and situational variables functions in an additive or interactive way, and therefore aggression is directly linked with number of personal and situational variables present in a given incidence. The second stage pertains to the roots through which personal and situational factors affect the person's appraisal and decision processes, leading to either aggressive or non-aggressive outcomes. This theory argues that the personal and situational factors influence the person's present internal state constituted by his or her three basic processes, that is affect, cognition and arousal, which further moderate the likelihood of aggression. Different input variables affect different present internal state variables, but present internal state variables also influence each other in interactive and reciprocal ways. This theory does not assume any specific sequence of the present internal state variables and suggests that any of the three variables can occur first and influences the other two. The third and final stage of this theory is the outcome stage, where the person interprets the situation and based on his or her appraisal of the current situation and restraining factors, decisions on being involved in aggressive and non-aggressive behavior is taken. GAM argues that based on situational appraisal and reappraisal, the person engages either in thoughtful actions leading to non-aggressive behavior or in impulsive action leading to aggressive behavior. This theory has further explained the process of social learning by which exposure to real or virtual aggressive models increases the likelihood of aggressive behaviors. Recurring exposure to this stimuli strengthen the aggression-related knowledge structure such as beliefs, attitudes, schemas and scripts relevant to aggression, and with increasing strength of this knowledge structure, these are more activated by situational or personal variables. Thus, repeated exposure to aggressive models actually primes the person for aggressive behavior. Now, we are going to discuss some of the causes of aggression. Despite having extremely negative impact on social relations, aggression is quite common in human life. Similar to other social behaviors, aggression also involves a complex process before it is expressed in behaviors. Many times we behave aggressively in situations in which we remain cool and calm at other occasions and vice versa. Arguably, there are a number of factors that lead us to engage in aggressive behavior. They are as follows: frustration, provocation, personality traits, displaced aggression, age, gender, exposure to mass media, social rejection, etc. Let us discuss one by one in detail in this module. Frustration. Frustration is believed to be one of the most common cause of aggression. Frustration-aggression hypothesis argued that we behave aggressively when any obstacle obstructs our goal-directed behavior and consequently we fail to obtain the goal. Some studies have reported that frustration is greater when goal-directed behavior is obstructed when we are closer to the goal. Arguably, greater frustration leads to more likelihood of being engaged in aggressive behavior. The next cause is provocation. Direct physical or verbal provocation is another very strong reason of aggression. In many social situations, people intentionally and unfairly criticize others, pass sarcastic comments targeted to others, physically harm others or express any such intention. Such provocation lead any person to engage in aggressive behavior towards the source of provocation. Studies have reported indicating that expression of arrogance, unjustified criticism, public teasing, others' action that damage or threaten to damage the public image or status, etc., are some strongest provocation that cause aggressive behaviors. The next factor is personality. There are number of similar situations to which different people respond differently. Social psychologists suggest that complex social behaviors like aggression and violence are often outcomes of an interaction between situational variables and traits or personal disposition of individual present in the situation. The TAS model, the traits as situational sensitivities model, argues that there are some traits that enhance the person's sensitivity, arguably by reducing threshold for responding to the situation. For example, generally people behave aggressively only when they are faced with strong situational factors such as strong provocation or frustration. The TAS model suggests that people with high trait aggressiveness respond aggressively even to very weak provocations. However, people with low trait aggressiveness require strong provocation for overt expression of aggression. Furthermore, low self-control has been reported as one of the strongest predictors of aggression. The next cause is displaced aggression. Many times we are not able to express our aggression to the original provocation or target due to many possible reasons such as unavailability of the source, abstract or intangible nature of the source, the source being stronger, and fear of getting punished for aggressive and violent behavior in the situation. In such conditions, our aggression is displaced and is expressed to a target that is either innocent or is mildly offensive and provocative, and thus functions as a trigger for our aggressive behavior. The next factor is age. Despite of general belief that children do not involve in violent actions and aggressive behaviors as much as the adults do, the relationship between age and aggression is not that much simple. Arguably, due to lack of social skills, younger children and adolescents largely depend on physical aggression to settle their disputes and to get their needs fulfilled. However, as the children grow up, the socialization process teaches them other mature ways to resolve their issues, and hence they progressively learn to resist their aggression in variety of social interactions. The next factor is gender. In almost all societies, gender difference in aggression exists, with males being physically and verbally more aggressive than females. Presumably, across societies, females are intensely socialized to resort to more indirect forms of aggression and to be less expressive in direct physical and verbal aggression. The next factor is exposure to mass media and aggression. Studies conducted using various methods have consistently reported that children and adults exposed to violent content in the mass media such as TV programs, films, video games, etc., tend to more engage in violent and aggressive behaviors. The GAM also provides an explanation for the effect of exposure to media violence on aggressive behavior. The general aggression model theory also argues that consistent and prolonged exposure to media violence modifies our cognitive schemas, beliefs, attitudes and scripts, and strengthens the knowledge structure related to aggression. As this knowledge structure becomes stronger, they lead people to a hostile expectation bias, that is, a belief that other people generally behave in aggressive way. This belief further leads us to easily become aggressive and violent even in response to general environmental conditions. The next factor responsible for aggression is social rejection. Social rejection is one of the strongest instigators of human aggression. Human beings enjoy social relations, and when people are excluded from society it negatively impacts their self-image and self-esteem and further leads them to become hostile and aggressive in social interactions. Studies have been reported showing that when people are rejected by others, it stimulates a hostile cognitive mindset or bias which inclines one to perceive others' ambiguous and largely neutral behaviors as hostile. In such a situation, this bias leads us to respond in aggressive way. From evolutionary perspective, it is necessary to associate with others in society in order to fulfill one's own basic biological and social needs and to survive. However, when people are socially rejected, fulfillment of this need is thwarted and the survival is jeopardized, leading to stimulation of instinct and responding in aggressive way. Next in this module, we are going to discuss about prevention and control of aggression. As a complex social behavior, aggression is an outcome of interaction between personal, interpersonal, social and cultural factors and is expressed in overt behavior when it is triggered by some situational and environmental variables. Thus, a number of strategies are proposed by social psychologists in order to reduce or control aggressive behavior. Some useful techniques, when used appropriately, can be effective in reducing the frequency and or intensity of human aggressions. They are as follows. Number 1 is punishment. Punishment is procedure in which aversive consequences are delivered to individuals when they engage in specific actions. It is the major technique for reducing aggression. The next useful technique is catharsis hypothesis. It is a view that providing angry person with an opportunity to express their aggressive impulses in relatively safe ways will reduce their tendencies to engage in more harmful form of aggressions. The next one is cognitive intervention. Aggression can be reduced with the help of cognitive intervention, that is apologies, that is admission of wrongdoings that include a request for forgiveness and by overcoming the cognitive deficit produced by strong anger. The last useful technique is forgiveness. Forgiveness means surrendering the desire for revenge. It reminded of the proverb and the large grain of truth in it. To err is human, to forgive is divine. It is effective in reducing aggression and in addition it may also contribute to psychological well-being. To conclude, in the modern world, technological advancement have brought about different ways of expressing aggression. Now, there are many sophisticated weapons that are easily available and can be smoothly operated in interpersonal, aggressive and hostile movements. To sum up, aggression is damaging to those who experience them, whether as the target or the aggressor. Therefore, it is important to protect one's mental health and physical safety by understanding aggression is often the byproduct of multiple underlying factors. Exploring and addressing the root cause of aggression can often help to reduce aggressive behavior to lead a peaceful, humane life. Thank you.